Welcome. It is the Ski Bum Podcast, and it is your pals, Mario and Brian. Mario, what's up?
Been an interesting week, and it's going to be another interesting week coming up, and we'll talk about that today. It's called Oktoberfest.
Yeah, you've got some nice little travel plans.
Yeah,
you got travel plans coming up, which is big, and you're kind of going into the region of where a lot of the good skiing is.
Yeah.
Kind of getting close.
It'll be adventuresome. Let's put it that way. That's why it kind of jives at skiing.
You're kind of wetting your beak for ski season.
Yeah.
You kind of wetting your beak, you're getting into it, you're getting warmed up because you got a European trip already planned for France for skiing. So now you're going to another part of Europe to wet the beak and get ready. And you're kind of getting them ready for you coming over in a few months.
That's right. They got to be ready because I brings the ruckus. So
that is right. Speaking of the ruckus, thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate it. Check us out, skibumpodcast.com. We're on your favorite social media apps, Twitter, which is now X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Untapped. We are at Ski Bum Podcast. Like the show, you want to help support us? We would love that. Patreon.com/Ski Bum Podcast. We're taking on patrons. We'd love for you to support the show. It would really help us out. So go there, check it out. Snowbound Expo. If you're in the Northeast, November 3rd through 5th, 2023, new location, Boston Convention and Exhibition Center. Snowbound Expo will be bigger than before.
Bigger and better.
If you want tickets, go to snowboundexpo.com. I know they had a couple of $1 deals. I don't think they have them anymore, but go there, check it out if you want tickets. Probably still get some decent deals before it gets too close. We're still about a month and a half out, I guess, till the actual.
We got a good amount of time.
You got some time, but October is going to fly by. Trust us. Summer flew by.
October. Yeah.
We're halfway through September. I'm telling you, man, get on it now.
Damn.
And we have one more promotion available. 10,000. So I am working with the good folks at 10,000. They are a men's sportswear company. They have athlete-led design. Iron sharpens iron. Only way to become your best is to work with the best, to create gear that is built to perform. They collaborate with a team of the most obsessed and passionate athletes in the world on the design, development, and testing of their gear. Their motto, better than yesterday. At the heart of 10,000 is the idea of pursuit in business, fitness, life, and skiing. They believe in moving forward with a quiet dedication to constant improvement and becoming just a bit better than we were yesterday. If you want to go and get some cool gear, go to 10,000.cc, TENTHOUSAND.cc. Use the code BSchneider15, BSCHNEIDER15, 15% off. I love their gear. I'm wearing a pair of their interval shorts right now. Super comfortable, great pockets. Love it. So if you want it, check it out. 10,000.cc.
Boom.
And with that,
it's time for Après Today.
We haven't actually podcasted in a couple of weeks. And
it's been a while. It feels like forever.
Right before we, I guess right after we recorded the last podcast. I mean, I don't want to be like Nostradamus or Negrodamus, but we had a whole thing about Jimmy Buffett. I think
we did.
The last couple podcasts before he actually just like died. I mean, I guess that's probably the best way to, segue into the good old Après Today. But out of nowhere, I mean, we were talking about Margaritaville opening its first ski town resort up in Lake Tahoe. Jackson Hole was being bought up, and there were some secret investors or unnamed investors. We thought maybe it was Jimmy Buffett.
The That's what we were speculating.
We were speculating. And now, just after we made those observations, comments, he died the Friday going into Labor Day weekend. As summer ends, Jimmy Buffett, the king of summer, the king of good times, dies as summer ends. I mean, like, could it be more poetic? Like,
quite interesting, right? Timing.
We were on our way driving up to New Hampshire for that Bronco off rodeo, and it was crazy because on Thursday driving up, we were listening to Margaritaville Radio on Sirius, and they were playing like the top 40 boat drinking songs for Labor Day weekend. Nice. And then as we got in the car Saturday to drive back, like the DJ was in tears, and she's like, "Oh my God, if you haven't heard yet, like Jimmy Buffett has passed away." And we're like, "What the hell? When did that happen?" Yeah, it was crazy. My wife was actually like really upset because she's a big Jimmy Buffett fan, and she's still getting upset every once in a while when she hears some songs. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's very sad, but
big loss. That's for sure.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. What would Jimmy Buffett do?
Right.
So Opry today, Mario.
Going to the Opry. So I'm keeping it real. Going to Oktoberfest, getting ready. And I started thinking about what would we be drinking in America if we had our own version of Oktoberfest, right? American beers. What do we put out? Who would sponsor the big Oktoberfest? You wouldn't have craft beers, right? You may have them in there, but Oktoberfest is in Germany. It's the big beer houses that are sponsoring, and it was to promote their beer, right? So I kind of like the idea of it would probably be all the big brands in the US. So to celebrate that, I couldn't go Bud Light. I just couldn't go there because I don't have a vagina. I just have a penis. So because I don't have both parts, I couldn't do that. And
is that a requirement these days now for Bud Light?
Apparently so. I mean, I've been to bars where I saw a group of guys one time, and the one guy was like, "Yeah, we'll get 4 Bud Lights, right?" And the guy's like, "No, we don't drink that anymore." And it was funny. They were from another country, but it was funny like to hear them have that dialogue back and forth. Like, no, we don't drink that anymore. I was like, wow, they're taking this shit serious.
It is so crazy how people are taking it that seriously.
Well, with some people that want to have, be woke and they want to push it in everybody's face. Well, if you don't want to be woke and you want to be regular and you still want to be fair, you have your opinion too, and let it show. And that's what everybody showed with that beer that shall not be named. So I picked a different beer that I don't mind saying on the podcast because let's give them some props. Good old fashioned Miller Lite.
Look at that.
Now, it is a Pilsner. It's a Pilsner beer, so German style beer. So I was like, hey, let's do a Miller Lite. And then I took out one of my Reitzenhof Oktoberfest glasses. Look at that. The pretty little dames on there.
You're getting all warmed up.
Look at that. I'm getting all warmed up.
Stretching out the liver, getting ready for Oktoberfest.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And, as we get into the main topic, Mario is going to be discussing his plan for Oktoberfest, give you some tips, some ideas in case you're getting over there.
It's not a bad beer.
He's got some experience here. This is not his first rodeo.
Not my first rodeo. This is the trifecta. This will be the hat trick of
the Oktoberfest hat trick.
The Oktoberfest hat trick. That's why I have the hat.
And we're talking about Wiesenkocks too this time.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna that's gonna be on the list.
Nice.
But anyway, when was the last time you had a Miller Lite? I actually, so when I was in my former life, when I was with someone, they had a connection with Anheuser-Busch. So it was kind of one of those things, you don't drink anything that's not AB. Well, now that I moved on in my life to bigger and better, I drink whatever the fuck I want. So I hadn't drank Miller in a long time. I remember MGD, they're pretty good, and Miller Lite, it's a staple. It's still here, and it's actually not bad. It's an easy drinking beer.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you last time I had a Miller Lite. It's definitely been years.
If you want something that's the other water, you get a nice cold one of these bad boys and just kind of pound one down and be like, rather than drink water. It's not going to get you drunk. What is it, like 4%?
Probably 4, I would guess.
Let's see. I can't even see the goddamn can. It's too dark in here.
There's no braille on there. Give you the ABV.
No, there's no braille.
What the hell?
Well, because I fry my eyes all day on a computer, when I go look at anything that's not on a screen, I'm like, I can't see anything. So is that like a condition where you can't see anything except on the screen? 4.2% ABV.
4.2%. There you go.
So, I mean, this is the perfect beer for like football season. Pound these all day. You're not really getting drunk unless you're like shotgunning, and I'm past the shotgunning stage of my life. So it's just funny. And then, like, you know, traveling recently. So I traveled last week and getting ready to travel again. It's funny how you see like people will go. Like there was somebody near me, and that's the other thing. We were at a bar in the airport. Somebody ordered a beer, and immediately the bartender's like, "So do you want the shot with that too?" And I was like, "Is that like an automatic?" But that's the thing now. In certain parts of the country, they have a beer and a shot. And I'm like,
you were in the Midwest, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, what's the purpose of that? Is it you like doing that? Is it get you there quicker? Or is it the beer is nice, easy drinking, but low alcohol? But instead of having a big, beefy like IPA, you're just having a nice light beer with a shot. So I don't know. I guess it levels out, right?
I guess that's the reason. I don't quite understand it myself. But
I guess if you have a shot and a light beer, that's the same as having like a double IPA.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
It kind of evens it out and makes it like a 8 or 9%er, right?
Yeah. But it is like a regional thing. I noticed like the Midwest is very big on doing that. And airports especially. Airports are just like they do anything like they ask me, do you want a double in the airport? Like when I order like a gin drink, and I look at them like, why wouldn't it automatically be a double? Like you should be asking me if I want a triple. I'm in an airport, gonna get on a tube and sit hostage in a tube for like 2 hours. Like there's no way.
Yeah, you don't want to, unless you want to go the Harrier route and just have your Ziploc bag full of shooters.
Well, now they make the announcement.
Choose your own adventure.
Right. Well, they used to never say anything, so you could bring on your own airplane bottles and drink them, and they would frown on it. Now they actually make an announcement on the airplanes that you're not allowed to consume your own alcohol.
Where in the Bill of Rights does it say that?
I think it's bullshit.
How about you chortle my taint, and I'm going to do it. I'm not breaking the law.
That's right.
Am I? There's no law against it. So what if you bring an empty Yeti bottle and you just unload in that Yeti bottle, just empty like four or five shooters in there? Oh, I guess we're serving Long Island iced teas on this flight.
So the funniest thing is at the airport bar, most of them you can get it to go. So they put in a plastic cup and you walk on the plane. When you're getting on the plane, you're not supposed to bring it on the plane. So I guess they're meant, the people that own the bars in the airport don't give a shit. They're like, you can fight it out with the airline, or you just have it to sit by your gate, right? I deplaned one time, so there was, what the hell was going on? I got off because I don't know if they said it was like a space thing or they wanted me to go back out. There was some reason I went back out and got off the plane, and you have to scan back out. And they're like, yeah, you got to scan back in now. I said, well, I got to go to the bathroom. So I was like, we're not leaving for a while, right? They're like, no. So I left. I went, got a drink to go, came back, and they're looking at me like, you're getting on. They're like, sorry, sir, you can't bring that in. I just said, it's water. And I kept walking. So I brought a giant gin and tonic on.
Sir, what's in your cup? A little beverage called none of your goddamn business.
That's right.
Like, shut the fuck up. I paid already for this flight. I'm getting on it. You're not going to stop me. I'm not violating any laws. Not hurting anybody.
You just stare at me like, you bitches ain't going to serve me for about a half hour. I need this now.
I'm telling you, bring an empty water, like a Yeti or any sort of, refillable bottle, and just dump it in there. Stick it in your backpack. No one's going to know.
Well, that's just it. People bring it all the time, and you fill up with water rather than buy water in the airport. You just fill up at the filtered water, but you can put anything there. You can put a drink.
Exactly.
And then my wife and I, what was it? We were in Houston airport. I think it was Houston or Dallas or Denver. But it was Sunday, and with the blue laws, none of the bars were open. So we found the perfect trick is you go to one of those whatever they are, the Cozy or whatever the brand is. But it's one of those where you just go help yourself and you pay, you walk away, pay. It's just like a little, almost like a kiosk, but like a newspaper store or whatever bookstore. But they have alcoholic drinks in there. You could buy those on Sunday. So you just buy that and drink it in the airport.
Exactly.
Make your own adventure.
There's always a way. There's always a way. And again, look at the Bill of Rights. There is nowhere in there saying that you can't do that. So
that's right.
You gonna argue with me, lady from the United front desk? You think you're gonna win this battle?
Why don't you go jump off a plane? How about that, lady? That's what you say.
You go, it's okay. I'm a limo driver.
That's right.
Walk in.
Oh, I gotta have a limo ID. That'd be perfect. Yeah. Just do that. It's all right. I'm a limo driver.
If you don't get
all right,
that
what
reference,
do you got going?
Can't help you. All right. So again, mentioning Jimmy Buffett. This is a Monday night recording this. I really didn't want to drink. I really didn't want to. I just coming off a long weekend.
I really didn't want to drink.
My father-in-law was here from Norway, and we pretty much eat crappiest food possible because he's got to have his fix of bagels and pizza. And we went out for dinner one night, and not that it was the worst thing, short rib tacos with kimchi fried rice. That was friggin' awesome. I got to tell you.
That's pretty good.
I loved it. But we were drinking every night. Lots of margaritas, whiskey, beer, whatever. But again, I feel like, I was harnessing my inner Jimmy Buffett. What would Jimmy Buffett do? It's 5:00 somewhere, so I mean, I didn't go margarita. I couldn't do that, but I just got myself a little Milagro tequila.
Milagro, yeah.
This is one of my. I have so much tequila, and I like tequila, but how much can one drink?
It's nice to have the bottles, especially when you have friends over, right?
Yeah,
it's a nice bottle.
Select barrel. It is plastic though. Actually, no, it's glass. I think it's glass. Yeah, it feels like very thin glass. It has a little thing you can stick your finger up. If you're into that kind of thing,
or something else.
100%. Hey,
look what I got resting on my dingle.
Fun for everyone. 100% agave. It's good stuff. 355 of 3,600 barrels. So limited edition.
Somebody out there is doing that on a regular basis. They're sitting there with that on their dingle, just going, yep, it's my holder.
And I wonder if they have the shooter size. So you can, for the people that are a little under
little dingers,
they can bring it onto the airplane with them.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah, just just trying to be a little Jimmy Buffett-ish. And
that's a tequila cod piece right there.
Yeah, right. Tequila cod piece. I believe was the alternate name of the song after Tequila Sunrise. But
there you go.
Do what you got to do. Yeah, I mean, this is a nice tequila. It's solid. You're into it. It gets you where you need to go. Yeah, the Jimmy Buffett thing has been bugging me. It's
apparently
it's been bugging me. I've been thinking about it a lot. Which is weird because it's funny. My wife used to play, Margaritaville radio, and I used to kind of like laugh at her, like this song. Like he's got one goddamn song. It kind of goofy Margaritaville, and you kind of hear more songs, and you kind of like. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole and read a little bit about him, which actually is the perfect segue into.
Let's go to ski news.
And there was an article from Powder, and the article was, yes, Jimmy Buffett was a skier. So while most people will remember Jimmy Buffett for the Florida Keys life that he has sold as part of his persona, Buffett was a bona fide skier and spent considerable time in Aspen for more than 50 years. He even played the closing set for the JAS Aspen Snowmass Labor Day show in 2021. He started visiting Aspen in 1972, according to a Vail Daily story by Andrew Travers. He came for 3 summers and after that purchased a house in Old Snowmass, where he was known for hosting wild parties. He stayed for the 75-76 winter season and learned how to ski. At the time, he was intent on splitting his time, or non-touring time at least, as he was playing about 150 nights per year back then as his profile was growing between Florida Keys and Aspen, but still wild counterculture outpost at the time. Buffett's music was starting to gain a wide following, and he wrote the song Let's Get Drunk and Screw in 1973 while he was in the Ute City. More hits followed and more time in Aspen, where he became friends with all the Aspen celebrity musicians. But significantly, Buffett never wrote songs about the mountains. He left that to his friend John Denver, and the two were close. And then a close friend of the author who grew up in Aspen, Chris Pomeroy, recently wrote on Facebook, "While I've never been a fan of his music, I have to say I am saddened by the passing of Jimmy Buffett. Saw him perform at the Def Camp picnic as a kid and went to a party once at his old house in Old Snowmass. He was good to our humble little community in the day. Even played on the local softball league along with John Denver. There's an expert in Juan Thompson's book where Hunter sent him to live with Buffett for a spell to give him a more stable perspective. While the irony is not lost on me, Jimmy Buffett was a good guy. He will be missed." All the outpouring of interest is summed up in Chris's observation. Jimmy Buffett was a good guy, and that's why he's getting so much attention. How was his skiing? I haven't found anyone to answer that question yet. So, yeah, it's funny that that Hunter Thompson was sent to live with him to get him more stable. Like, I love that. I love anything having to do with Hunter Thompson and all his crazy days out in Woody Creek and Aspen. It makes you wonder, like, what it would have been like hanging out with those guys in the early mid 70s. It must have just been just a absolute chaos fest.
That's pretty crazy if you think about like all those famous people just kind of hanging out and kind of becoming a little bit of family, which is interesting.
Yeah, and those guys weren't big rich celebrities then. I mean, they were known, but it's not like
still trying to make it at that time.
It's like the Kardashians are moving in somewhere, and it's like all eyes and all the media and all this hype, like just a bunch of like guys finding a cool spot and making it their own.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, and I think that like that story about Jimmy being a good guy, and that's something that I've read a couple of articles, and same kind of thing, like the guy was almost a billionaire by the time he died with all of his businesses that he has, and just stayed pretty humble, kept doing what he was doing. He got in trouble a couple of years ago for surfing during right before a hurricane hit, a tropical storm in North Carolina.
That's what everybody does. It's crazy.
And they didn't issue a evacuation notice yet. So it wasn't like he was breaking any sort of laws, but people gave him shit afterwards. Like, you could have put people in danger. What if you needed to get rescued? It's just like
Jimmy Buffett. What would Jimmy Buffett do? Go surfing.
Buffett do? Like, why is everyone such a friggin' Debbie Downer and a friggin' tattletale? Like,
yeah,
that's why you never accomplished anything. The people who went out there and tried something and challenged themselves and did something maybe a little bit stupid in your eyes are the ones who are achieving, the ones who are living the lives that you want to live, that you want to read about. Not just sitting home like a tattletale, like, look what they did. Yeah, I'm a better person. I listened. I followed the rules.
Yeah. Well, I guess what they do now, what they used to do is go out and try to save people. Now they're like, yeah, we're not saving you. We're in evacuation. We're out. We'll save you. We'll come get your body later, right? Like, which is what they should have done in the first place. Like, have an evacuation order, or there's something coming in, you hurt yourself. Well, you took your own risk, right?
I'm okay with that.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Story.
So rest in peace, Jimmy. You'll be missed.
Yeah. Rest in peace. His song was good. His music was good.
Yeah. Still is.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, it's part of America.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to some future ski news. El Nino is going strong during the winter of 23-24, and it could bode well for skiers for the northeastern ski resorts. This is powder.com. They actually put out an article saying, breaking this down for us. They're saying El Nino is here, and people are wondering what it means for this winter, right? There's a YouTube meteorologist, Direct Weather, created a video to show the long-range winter weather forecast for the U.S. And based on his early estimations, he believes the Northeast can see increased chance of northeasters this winter with the rising of the jet stream. So what it shows is that jet stream, raising up and I guess bringing a lot more moisture. And they're saying it could bring a good amount of dumping. So it's funny, they have on the on this little forecast diagram, they have polar vortex, Arctic blast, winter battle zone. They have worst of winter, and it's funny how they put it like, oh, the weather, the winter weather is going to be worst of all here. Well, for a skier, you're like, that's pretty sweet. So you want to see the worst. It should. If they want to rebrand everything, they could just say best of winter, right? Worst winter would be it's not so snowy. Like
because it just depends who you're talking to, what you mean by the worst of winter.
Exactly. Should we be more positive?
Yeah, if you're talking to people who are commuting to work, perhaps. If you're talking to skiers, you're like, yeah, no, this is amazing. So best of winter.
Wonderful weather we're going to have this winter. Oh, really? Yeah, it's going to be snowy and blustery. A lot of storms. So the way they have this forecast is up, like I guess Buffalo, the interior, worst of winter, huge snowstorms along the East Coast, Arctic blasts across like the Midwest, the Northwest is polar vortex area. So that looks pretty damn sweet. When you go to the West Coast, you get like super dry and typical snow. So it looks like normal to worse, but I guess it's kind of normal over where they have it. It's just the East Coast is looking pretty nice now. So interesting to see. So we're just going to have to watch this because everybody has their forecasts, and I love how they come out with them this time of year. And then we just see how it plays out. Who has the right formula to do the forecast?
It basically looks like everyone is going to do well except for Oregon, Northern California, Northern Nevada, and Southern Idaho. It says super dry.
Mm.
And then across Northern Idaho, Utah, most of Colorado, typical snow. So, yeah, I really hope they get this right. I hope this is accurate. That would be so wonderful because it seems like almost everybody wins. And, if we can get that sort of scenario, like, isn't that just a beautiful thing for everyone? It's good for the skiers. It's good for the resorts. Money is flowing.
It's just funny as hell when people start getting into skiing and they start looking at the weather and then they start realizing, I remember saying to somebody, I was like, no, you don't realize, like, everybody that skis is a meteorologist of some sort. Like, they all have their thing. And then you get the people that are like, well, with the higher elevation and the middle elevation, it's like, all right, you're either full of shit or you really have some learning behind you. But either way, it's still a crapshoot, so it's nice to have intelligence behind it. But, Mother Nature is Mother Nature, right?
What's so funny? My sister-in-law got obsessed with that sub that sunk visiting the Titanic.
Of course, everybody did.
She became like an expert that week about pressurization and the time that would take to descend and all that. Like, because again, you get so into a story that you want to learn as much as you can, much as possible. Yeah. I'll tell you, we had the last episode, we talked about hurricanes because you had just survived that hurricane that just missed you down there.
I love that term, survived. I survived the hurricane.
You survived the hurricane. And, we almost kind of mocked it in a way. And about a week ago, that Hurricane Lee, which ended up hitting, I guess, like Maine and
it hit like St. John's and
Halifax, that area. Nova Scotia up there.
Nova
and it
Scotia area.
hit as a tropical storm, like a pretty significant tropical storm.
Yeah.
But a week and a half out, this thing was like a perfect Cat 5. Like it was
Yeah.
it went from like a 1 to a 5 in like a day. Like it was a motherfucker. And they were showing some of the spaghetti models. I'm like, I know all about spaghetti models now. Like I'm researching about that. I'm like, look at the pressure system, and then if it comes up, it says on this pattern, it's going to come and it's going to hit us as like a Cat 4, and we're all going to die.
It hooks everybody in. That's how you keep watching.
I'm like, I need a new battery for my sump pump. Like I was like freaking out for like a couple days, and then they're like, well, the jet stream is going to dip. It's going to push it out, and probably be fine over here.
Yeah, but think of how like crazy everybody's at. Like, oh, it's a Cat 1 or a Cat 2. Like, you remember that year? I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. The year like all the islands, like Puerto Rico, they all got wiped out. They were getting hit by fucking Cat 5 hurricanes. Like, and they are on an island in the middle of the ocean. Like, you know how terrifying that is? Like,
yeah,
we're in civilization, big buildings around. Like, it's different, big infrastructure. But even us, we like,
Well, yeah, but your area too. Like they build stuff, knowing that a Cat 5 could come through.
I can only imagine. Like I've never seen video of like Cuba. Cuba gets pounded by hurricanes every year, and like nobody hears about it because it's like, it's just Cuba.
Yeah,
but they don't even have. Look at them. They have old cars, like old infrastructure, but they weather out these storms. They got some big ass mountains, but still, I wonder.
We're all just so soft. I'm like, oh my God, will Costco be open tomorrow?
Exactly.
A hurricane comes.
People are like, oh, I'm going to lose internet. This is horrible. I can't work from home and I can't stream my TV. Like,
yeah,
you worried about that? Like, your house is still standing, right? Like,
yeah, it's
dumb. Messed up. Of all the things that could have taken out Hawaii, I would never thought a forest fire would have done it. I would have thought tidal wave or hurricane. That's it.
Yeah,
but freaking forest fire took them out.
Or did it? Those lasers. Wasn't the government like firing the lasers? And if you didn't have a blue roof, your house got taken out.
It was UFOs. It was
Oprah's house was fine, and like she's like telling you to spend money to help them out. Like, bitch, aren't you a billionaire? Like, can't you throw a few bucks their way?
Yeah, it's like you're sitting there like with all your money. Can't you help a bunch of people out? Nope.
There was something they were saying like the government like won't let the people get back to their land, like, and give them some equivalent like lower estimate money to like buy it out from them. There's all kinds of like.
That's when the land grab starts. Like, hey, this land's worth a lot. Now we got rid of the people. Let's take it over.
Notice after like a bunch of tornadoes in Oklahoma, they're not doing that.
Yeah,
but it's like prime real estate in Hawaii. They're like, oh well, we're here to help.
Yeah, I'm
from the government and I'm here to help.
Well, they were trying to stop speculative investors going in and buying stuff for a while. But then I think, like you said, the government was like, well, we'll help people out. We'll buy your land. It's like, whoa, so the government's doing it.
Yeah. Oh,
like, what's that about?
Thank you.
Thanks. You guys are here to help us. Yeah. Always. The government is always here to help, right?
Mm-hmm. They are infallible.
Well, just like I always laugh at the sub thing because that was the same week Hunter Biden got like charged or indicted, and it all got squished because of the sub story. Let's put the sub story on top. Let's squish that other story. Don't we got some shark attacks too to go through?
Amazing UFOs. It's amazing how that happens. I mean, it's such a coincidence.
Yeah, the UFOs came out when there was another indictment going, like, or what do they call them now? UEPs or some bullshit. Like,
why'd they change it?
Well, because the new generation has to have their own terminology. Like, oh, that's UFOs. That's old school. Now we have something better.
It's not flying. We don't know what it's doing. It's like, just shut up and use the goddamn term. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that with everything these days, right?
Yeah. Like, you just realize there's some t-shirt that I saw. It said, isn't it funny being the same age as old people? I'm like, yeah, that's shut up t-shirt.
Well, that's just like everything that's really good, like, good song or good movie. They make a remake with some modern day dipshits and might be okay, but it's like you realize this is a remake, and a lot of the young people don't even know, like, what? That's a remake? Yeah, that's like the third remake of that song. Like, they have no idea. I remember who
first
was it?
Spider-Man.
What was that song where they sampled "I'll Be Watching You" from The Police, and it was like P Diddy or something like that.
Oh
And
yeah, I'll be missing you.
yeah, and it was
so awful.
I think it was your nephew was saying, "Oh my God, he's so talented. He even sung that part." I'm like, "No, dipshit. That's like The Police." He's like,
Yeah.
"Who's that?" Like, what the? Blowing my mind.
Just this is old people yelling at clouds. Like this is what we're doing now. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know who's not yelling at clouds right now is Reed Hastings, co-founder of Netflix, because he is buying North America's largest ski resort. Did you know that?
It's money well spent. Better than buying CBS or ABC or whatever the hell's going on now.
Buying Twitter.
Right.
Elon could have bought like all of Vail resorts, all of them. Nope. But he bought Twitter and called it X. His choice. I'm reading his book, the book about him right now, the Walter Isaacson biography about him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good.
He's
I read the old one about him a long time ago.
Yeah, that was something Vance wrote that one. This is like next level. It's like a lot of the same stuff, but more, way more.
Well, yeah, it's later date, right?
Yeah, his dad was a creepy fuck.
Yeah, he grew up pretty weird, right?
His dad was like kind of a nut job, and he ended up like marrying his stepdaughter, like weird stuff. Yeah, very weird stuff.
It's only weird if she wasn't hot.
That's true. I haven't seen pictures, so I'm not really sure. So, speaking of tech billionaires, Reed Hastings, who is the co-founder of Netflix, has made a $100 million investment in Powder Mountain in Utah, the country's largest resort. Hastings, who stepped down as CEO of Netflix in January and became minority owner of Powder Mountain in April, ascended to majority owner of the resort with the investment on September 6th. Powder Mountain is the largest ski resort in North America by skiable acres. So settle down, Park City. You're still the biggest with number of, what is it?
Powder's freaking nice. I'm so mad you didn't go on that trip. That was a good trip.
So am I.
That was a nice place.
For those not in the know, Powder is located above northern Utah's Ogden Valley. The resort extends over 8,464 acres. It has 54 trails, 9 lifts, and 2 terrain parks. It also has cat skiing options that extend the range of terrain possibilities. It receives upwards of 500 inches of legendary Utah powder in good snow years. It also lies about an hour north of Salt Lake City International Airport, not in a remote wilderness area. Powder Mountain skier policy have also elevated it in the skiing world. It's the rare resort that has the unusual and welcome policy of capping day passes and season passes sales to provide an uncrowded ski experience. For the past decade, Powder Mountain was owned by the guys behind the Summit Series conferences who bought the resort for $40 million in 2013 and saw the unsung resort as an opportunity to build an eco-friendly ski resort for the tech wealthy. The intention was to build 500 homes in a village set at 9,000 feet, along with various science, medical, and educational facilities. They ran into countless challenges, and as the project floundered, Hastings, who already owned a house there, stepped in with a big check and a new vision.
Oh, I know. It was the most fabulous yurt I've ever been in, that owner's yurt at the top of Powder. And we were lucky enough to go in because we were pressed. But I got to say, that was pretty nice living. That was, you got to own a house. You can't even rent one. Nope, only the owner. I love that.
That's awesome. So they're saying that he intends for the investment to have an immediate impact. The influx of cash is earmarked for improvements that will expand skiable terrain, create a new Nordic and snowshoe trail system, and support the progression of all level abilities and ages on the mountain. Notable improvements for the winter include DMI-guided backcountry terrain. Powder Mountain will open access to 500 acres of some of the steepest terrain accessible from the mountain. The newly open terrain is DMI, don't mention it, and offers views of the Eden Valley and the Ogden Divide. Skiers can look forward to 3,000 feet of vertical drop chutes and open bowls. In short, it's steep technical terrain for the big dogs, challenging enough that it can only be skied with a guide.
Wow. That's pretty sweet.
And the new cross-country and snowshoe trail will offer guests additional ways to get onto the snow, while the new on-trail warming hut will provide hot chocolate.
Nice. Didn't they do an expansion and add a whole bunch of I know they were trying to do the village, but I think they added some more homes. I don't know if they were I don't think they were able to do the village, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think they did. No.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good idea, but now with this money coming in and new vision, who knows? Might be really sounds like a pretty sweet plan.
Yeah, he's got some dough. So someone, of course, had to comment. Actually, North America's largest resort is Whistler, based in British Columbia, Canada.
Nah.
Powder,
Canada's dead to me right now still.
practically the largest, 8,464 acres, which is more than Whistler's 8,171.
In your face, Whistler.
Yeah. But only 3,000 of Pall Malls is serviced by lifts. Whistler certainly feels bigger with more vertical lifts, trails, facilities, and people. And then, of course, some nerd. Why don't these big shots build a hospital or dialysis unit?
Skiing and dialysis go hand in hand? The fuck?
Why are you on Forbes whining about this? Go work a little bit harder so you've got $100 million to spend.
Why are you looking for dialysis in the ski mountain? Like, I don't know. Stay where the dialysis is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's just haters. Everywhere they're haters.
Everybody, it doesn't matter what you do. Somebody's bitch that you didn't do more. Like, it's going to be, you almost had world peace. Yeah, but you didn't have it. Like, really? Like, thanks, guys. Like, maybe if you assholes stop being haters and just joined in and helped stuff, maybe things would get better.
Yep.
But no, they got to stand back and watch, just waiting for, I told you so. I told you that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Assholes.
Well, speaking of not working, let's go up to Stowe.
Boom. So Stowe Mountain in Vermont makes a U-turn on seasonal parking passes amid push for carpooling and public transit. Not a bad idea. It's owned by Vail. Stowe is. I know a lot of the locals, they still give it shit because they think it's big money coming in, ruining everything. But Stowe's a pretty nice mountain. They're saying they're going to discontinue the sale of season parking passes. And what they're doing is it's broader efforts to reduce traffic congestion, encourage the use of carpooling and public transportation, which is all a win for me. I mean, who wants to drive anyway? If somebody else can get you there safely, the hell, right? They had the parking passes made available in October 11, 2022, and they sold out instantly. So they cost $450 for the season, but they did not guarantee a parking spot. So it was first come, first serve still. So I guess that's also part of the rub. Like, how can you sell parking passes without guaranteed parking, right? You oversold. So a spokesperson for Stowe Mountain explained that the $30 per day charge for parking on weekends for non-carpoolers would remain unchanged. So they're still going to charge for if you drive up there, but it's still encouraging carpooling and public transportation to reduce traffic. So they're saying they presented data to Vermont Agency of Natural Resources in May showing significant uptick in carpooling and public transit usage, thereby securing indefinite continuation of the paid parking program. So they're going to continue their partnership with Green Mountain Transit, investing in public transportation that provides skiers and riders access to the mountain from various points in Stowe, and proceeds from the parking go toward additional buses and capacity, as well as toward a resort shuttle system to improve public transportation in and around the resort. So the state has also maintained the 90-minute parking limit at Barnes Camp, affecting hikers and other winter recreationalists.
So now,
this is a neat move.
So if you carpool on the weekend, that means you don't have to pay?
Well, you're splitting it with everybody in the car, right? So you still pay the $30, but it's encouraging, instead of you driving by yourself and paying $30, you're like, hey man, I can pick up the hitchhiker and we can just pay 15 each.
Yeah, right.
I guess that's the idea of the carpooling. And the public transport is that's just an easy win, you know?
Yeah. But could you imagine you're paying $450 for your parking pass, and then like you get there and you can't park?
I would lose my shit because you got a season pass or a freaking.
Oh, you got a $1,500 Epic Pass probably.
You got an Epic Pass and a parking pass, and you get up there and you can't park. I would lose my shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
I've seen you lose your shit over way less.
$450 is a lot of shit losing.
Yeah, you'd be chucking a boot through someone's window.
Boot to be flying. They have to hold me back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Commitment to charging for non-carpooling vehicles on weekends and holidays.
Yeah, why not? You want to park here? $1,000. You'll get people instantly to go to carpooling and public transport.
Why don't they have one of those hyperloops yet? Like some sort of underground boring company. Like, why can't we do more underground parking?
Yeah. Well, look, I worked right near the Lincoln Tunnel during 9/11. When that shit happened and they made it, there were no single cars. People were like, hey, man, I need to go into the city. Let's carpool. And they would find ways to make it carpool. If you make it that difficult to go up there in a single car, people find a way. You get rideshare apps. We have technology now.
Yeah.
You have rideshare apps. You just make it where you can't park a single person in a car unless you're working there. And even then, make them take public transport or something.
Yeah, it's almost like when they had the HOV lanes and people put dolls and inflatable people in the car to make it look like they have extra people in there.
Got my inflatable. I got my girlfriend with me. Yep. Yeah. Well, that's your girlfriend, all right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because $30 a day. That's pretty harsh. Imagine you just ski there on like Saturday and Sunday.
It's like going to a football game, right?
That's like what lift tickets cost at smaller places, sort of. Still, maybe a few of them.
$30 a day
just to park. Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I don't have the answer. Obviously, besides underground parking, like start drilling into the mountain and create like just caverns for parking. Like besides
Boring
that,
company.
What else could you do?
The boring company. They'll hook it up.
Bore some holes. Make some parking underground. But I'm not a geologist. I'm not an engineer. We're just throwing ideas out there. We're trying to find solutions. We're trying to help you out.
What about a shuttle chopper? What's wrong with that?
Monorail. Why can't there be a stone monorail?
So I was thinking about that the other day. I'm looking at the monorail.
Ben and Jerry's. You park at Ben and Jerry's. The monorail goes right to the mountain.
But I'm looking at the monorail, like at the airport, and they're doing work on it, and it's been forever. And I'm wondering, I'm like, why is everybody so jazzed about a monorail versus having a regular fucking train track? Like, is it different? Like, can't you have two tracks? Like, why does it have to be one track? Seems like a lot of extra effort for the same thing.
It's the above groundness of the monorail, right? Isn't that?
So you put a train track above. Same thing. You have a platform. You have a dedicated platform where nobody goes on. It's the same size as a train. You just have one rail instead of two. And I think it's a lot more complicated to maintain. I don't know. That's just
monorail.
That's just me simplifying everything. Like, why don't you just have an above ground train? That's kind of what they have a lot of places.
That's true.
So you're saying we have two rails instead of one? Oh my God, that's
is better. Single.
Like, does it have to be futuristic because it's at the airport? Like, that's the only thing I see about. How about an above train track? How about that? Like an amusement park ride.
Yeah.
Why don't they just strap you in like an amusement park? Just kind of click you in and boom, swish you there.
Be there. Be more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be there in like 2 seconds. Boom.
That's an idea right there.
I thought about it because I was flying into Tampa Airport and I'm like, you know what Orlando Airport should have is you get out and you have the opportunity to ride your first roller coaster right off of the airplane. You get out, boom, you shuttle ride the roller coaster right to the parking lot.
It's a good goddamn idea.
None of the slow moving bullshit. We want fun. 100% fun.
Why are you going to Orlando? To have fun.
Have fun. It's all for rides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want the boring ride, they have the one that moves slow too. It's called a shuttle.
Choose your own adventure. give people options. It's a great idea.
Or walk. Why can't you just walk?
You could. Yeah, there's a lot of fatties going into that Orlando airport. So
see, that's a problem. We've gotten fatter as a nation, and it's more difficult to tell people, well, you're gonna have to walk. People are like, oh my God, we're gonna sue you. Like, why? I just asked you to walk. Like, it's here. We didn't build anything to get you from this place to that place. You gotta walk. Lose a few pounds,
Wally.
fatty.
It's becoming Wally.
That's right. We're one step away from Wally with the big super gulp things and the floating cars.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Close. How many people do you know that would opt for the car versus walking anytime?
Most. A lot. Far too many young people too.
I love in Wally they showed they have the diagram of like the bone density shrinking because everybody's just getting fatter, and they show like the thing going the fatter and then like the bones shrinking at the same time. It's genius.
And they show the captains like they're like from like slim and jacked to like just fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter.
Just big fatties. Like they can't even stand on their own. They can't support their weight. Ugh. They're like seals.
Well, speaking of fatties, Mario, let's roll into the main topic.
All right.
Now you are heading over to Oktoberfest, like the real Oktoberfest, not the hack ones that are all over here.
Not the OCT Oberfest, the OKT Oberfest.
That's right. It ain't October unless it's OKT.
That's right. So I was reading. It's funny when I'm getting ready for these trips, I start reading up, and then I stop and I forget about it, and then I start reading up again. And we're going with two other friends, another couple. So we're like, so I'm sending them stuff. Hey, read this. Make sure you have this. And it's funny, you learn new stuff every day. So, and I think I saw this before, but I just saw it today that Oktoberfest used to be in October, but the weather's so bad they moved it up to September.
Really?
Everybody thinks it's October, but they moved it because they're like, yeah, we get pretty bad, like crappy, rainy, cold weather in October. So let's move it up. But they didn't want to change the name because they're like, everybody knows it as Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And it's celebrated.
Just misses something. Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. Everybody's like, Oktoberfest, you go in next month? I'm like, no, dipshit, it's this month. Like, it's 3 weeks in this month. It ends in October.
Yeah, it's like they're celebrating the coming of October.
Yeah.
And they sort of changed that description, I guess, when they figured the weather was better.
Right. And I think it always ends like the first weekend of October or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, but yeah, it's like 3 weeks. It just started last week. So we're going in the middle. We got our plans. I'm pretty jazzed about it. So I've done multiple variants of it. This time we're going to be there like 4 days, which is an eternity from my past.
That's 4 times longer than you were there last year.
That is. So last time I went, I wasn't married yet with my wife, my girlfriend my ex-girlfriend I was with. So I was with her and we went for literally 22 hours. I added it up.
Wow. So,
and that's touchdown to takeoff, which that's a short trip. I got sick as a dog coming back. I won't lie, because I really didn't sleep and just kind of ran myself down. But it was fun as hell. That was, so we have a system. I don't know if I want to share all my secrets, but I will with this group here. So you land in Munich. If you're going to Munich, Munich airport to get to the city center, it's kind of a long drive. Like, people don't realize even the train. I don't know if they have it. Do they have the train? I think they do have the train, but it's kind of the easiest way is the Lufthansa shuttle. So it's called, you don't have to fly Lufthansa. You just book it. And it is a bus that goes literally directly from the airport to city center in Munich. And it's like, I think it's 20 euro or 16 euro one way, 30 round trip or something like that, 26, something like that, which is cheap compared to, doing a train or even an Uber. Like that's really expensive. It takes you right there. You're there in like 40 minutes. So get you there. It's pretty good. So that's what we do. We fly in, jump on the Lufthansa bus, go. Found that out the first time I went there with our buddy John. So the first time I went for 3 days, saw a Bayern Munich game, and then did Oktoberfest, and then kind of walked into Oktoberfest the other time. We found a service at the time that does a tent reservation. So if you're ever going to plan Oktoberfest, I believe it's, I don't know if it's January 1st or like January 13 or 15. There's a date that all the tickets go on sale. Now you can buy a single ticket for a table. You can buy a table reservation, and you actually buy out the reservations, right? So those reservations guarantee that you'll have that on the day that you buy it. You don't have to buy a ticket though. You could just walk in and sit wherever you want. But if you want like a VIP, like a seat at a table, that's kind of where you get into buying tickets. Now, they're state regulated, so you can't resell the ticket. So if you want to go and you want to sit at a nice table, VIP area, you just go buy them. Now, the problem is having that sense of planning and forethought is really rare. So these companies go out and they buy the tickets legitimately from the government, and since they can't resell them, they package them together as an experience. So I found a service. They're out of the UK. I thought I was getting scammed at first, but we took a leap of faith, and it was very expensive. But what you do is you buy a ticket, and they offer you could get a whole table depending on how many people you have, or you just book seats at a table, and they put you together with other people and you hang out. It's probably about, I think the going rate's about $250 a person, right?
Wow.
But by packaging as
day?
for one session at Oktoberfest.
One session.
Right. Now, Oktoberfest, I believe they do 2 sessions. They do a morning or an early session and then a late session. And the early session goes till, I think it's about 5-ish or so. And then the other one goes to like, I think starts at like 8 till or 7. I'm probably butchering it all up. Goes to like, I think it all closes at 11. So history of Oktoberfest real quick is it started out as the wedding party of, I forgot the king and the queen.
King Ludwig?
Probably. And the queen was Teresa, right? So they dedicated this area named after her. Theresienwiese is the area. And it's this big park that basically had this public party for they're getting married. Let's have a public party. And they kind of back then they would have a big party, and for all their loyal subjects, they throw this big party and people would have fun, right? Well, it developed into over the years, they kept having this, hey, it's a good idea to have the party. Let's have beer stuff. So they kind of, had the big beer companies start marketing their brand. Now they still do. If you're there, you will see riding around the area, like around, because they have a whole trail of where they take the beer from, and they deliver it in the tents, and they go by a lot of the, they ride around a lot of the fest area. And I believe it's a law in Germany and for Oktoberfest that if they're bringing the beer in, it has to be by horse-drawn carriage. So you see these massive wagons with all these beer kegs, and they're drawn by a horse, and you're like, that's really cool. And then you start talking to, the people. Now, the thing is with the experience, they explain this all to you because that's part of the experience. You meet up with them, they explain a lot of stuff to you, you have some drinks, and then they walk you in, you get your table, they have food there, you get food and beer with the ticket. So it's really awesome, especially if you're not, you want to have an experience with no hassle. But they explain a lot of the stuff. So they said it is a law that they have to bring the beer in by a horse-drawn carriage. And they bring it in the barrel. So they bring it, it's not kegs. They're old school, like wine barrels, like the big beer barrels that you see in, cartoons these days. I don't know where you've seen. And there's a few, I think there's a few that still tap and pour out of the keg. So Augustiner is one of them that they actually have out in the beer garden. They have the giant keg and they're pumping it out of there. So it's pretty neat to see. So just some interesting things about it. But all these beer tents, so there's probably about, I think roughly, was it like 12? And my numbers are wrong. You can look it up online. But for example, there's like 12 big beer houses, right? So you have like Paulaner, you have Augustiner, you have Hofbrau, all these big beer producers. And you can look up which ones they are. Now they have these massive tents. Now, when you say massive tents, they're to the tune of, I think the Paulaner one that we're going to seats, and I'm probably butchering this up too. I think it seats inside about 6,000 people.
Wow.
Right. Now, the regulation is they can build the tents for Oktoberfest, but they have to be completely torn down. So there's no permanent structures. They're actual tents, like in that sense. So they seat about 6,000 inside, and outside they have the beer garden, which is outside, and that seats probably, depending on the size of it, probably about 2,500 to 3,000 people.
Wow.
So they're serving about 8,000, roughly 8 or 9,000 people in one tent, right? Now imagine there's 12 of those gigantic tents, and then there's a whole bunch of smaller tents that are like, and when you say small, they hold 2,000 people inside, right? So it's this massive area. So the scale is just, it's hard to imagine until you see it like in person. But it's not just beer. Like people get this conception that it's just beer. It's actually a festival. Like, so there's rides and there's kid stuff. And
carnival, yeah.
It's a big carnival with all these tents. So it's like you have all these beer tents and people are going for that. But then there's carnival stuff going on for kids and local, it's kind of interesting. I got to say, it's like a local fair on steroids, So yeah, so you go in and you could buy a ticket, you could do an experience, or you could just walk in. Now, if you walk in with a big group, chances are you're not going to sit together. And it is very, when they talk about just German style or sitting at a European style seating, you fit in wherever you can. So if there's 20 people at a table, but there's one seat, you just go down and sit there. And that's how it is. They might not like it, but nobody will ever say anything. You just sit down and there you go. A lot of times people will go to a place and they'll be sitting like at different tables, right? Maybe talking to other people, but waiting to see if places open up where they can start sitting together. So depending on how long you're there, then you eventually start sitting together and you're hanging with your friends. But you make a lot of new friends on the way because you're sitting there and you start talking to people next to you. So it's very festive. So I do have the lederhosen, which is the whole getup is called the Tracht, and that's the shirt, the lederhosen, which are the it's basically leather shorts, overalls, right? And the idea is it's meant for going out working on the farm, right? So you have your lederhosen. If you're a farmer, you're wearing those to do your chores, and they're great because they're super sturdy and they don't puncture easily, and you can kind of maneuver with them. They're kind of cool that way. And the ladies wear dirndl, which is the traditional Bavarian dress, which is, I guess, like Sound of Music looking. The little dress with the apron. Got to have an apron, right? So the idea is you're on the farm as well, cooking and baking and maybe cleaning stuff and tending to the farm too, so it's kind of traditional dress and everybody wears it. So first time I went with my buddy John, I got the lederhosen, I got the whole Tracht, and I talked him into getting it. Now he was like, you got to be kidding me. This looks stupid. I'm going to feel stupid wearing this because
I'm wearing a Jets jersey.
Yeah.
Under Armour shorts.
He's too cool for everything. He's like, I got to look cool, whatever. It's like, No, just wear it. Just trust me. He's like, all right, whatever. So he got it, brings it to Germany. I'm all dressed up, meet him. He's like, he goes to the hotel. He's like, you sure you're going to wear this? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to wear it all day. I'm going to, and we're going to go to Oktoberfest. So he's like, so he puts it on and we go eat lunch. I'm like, I'm hungry. Let's go eat lunch. So we're walking down. I'm like, let's just sit here. He's like, I feel like an asshole. He's all bitching about it the whole time.
You look like an asshole.
And we're sitting there eating lunch. And in a half hour, he's looking at like 80% of the people wearing the lederhosen and the girls wearing the, guys wearing the lederhosen, girls wearing the dirndl. He's like, all right, I don't feel so bad now. So then he started thinking, oh, I got to get a hat because I already had my hat from an Oktoberfest I went to up at, where the hell was it? I think I was with you. It was in Hunter Mountain. Went to the Hunter Mountain Oktoberfest,
Okay.
Which was pretty legit. Pretty legit in America, and this is like a traditional hat. So I got it.
Everybody went all out, and you forced John to go all out.
I forced John to go out, so then he had to get a hat, but he couldn't get the same one, which is smart. He didn't want to look like twins. He got a black hat, and then it has the little pheasant thing, which is another symbol. So there's a lot of symbolism for tradition. And you being German, there's a lot of things that, people wear or do, and it has some meaning, which is kind of cool. It has
love their symbols in Germany.
Yeah. Well, they got a little out of hand after a while.
Love their symbols. Those crazy bastards.
But there's certain things like the certain type of feather means you're a certain type of hunter or you're from a certain region, and it's just this whole thing. So it's kind of cool. You start reading up on it. Like, so for the women, one of the things I sent to the people I'm going with is the women have to wear. So when they tie the apron on the dirndl, because the dirndl is the dress, but has the apron. When you tie the knot on the dirndl, it's supposed to symbolize if you're taken, single, widowed, or a virgin, which is just weird.
Whoa,
but it's symbolic. So if it's
your feather stands for this guy fucks.
This guy fucks. That's right. I have a hat and I have a feather. This guy fucks. But yeah, supposedly if it's in the front, they're a virgin. If it's on the left, they're single. If it's on the right, they're taken. And if it's on the back, they're a widow, or it's just they're a worker. So it's interesting to see, those little nuances.
The class system at work.
Yeah. And then the other thing people don't realize is, for women going out there, they're getting hit on by a guy and they're like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. He's not wearing a wedding ring. He's wearing a friendship ring. Well, the Germans wear the wedding ring on the other side. So they wear it on the right hand. So women looking like, oh, he's not married. He's not wearing a ring. Well, it's on the other side. So it's just it's kind of interesting, like all these little nuances, but
it's almost like the football in football, the quarterback has this plays on the wrist. You almost need like the symbol, the translation.
That's right.
Going out, right?
Exactly. But at the end of the day, you just go and have fun. So they actually have they set up one of the largest jails in Oktoberfest. So there's a lot of people that just get hammered, and they have an actual jail there and a judge. So they'll actually, if you do something really bad, they bring you there and they actually try you right there and charge you. It's pretty messed up.
That's a very German thing to do. Very efficient. Kind of like that.
Yeah. Very efficient. Then they have this berm. So when I went was just after 9/11. So after 9/11, they put a fence around the whole thing, and Germans were pissed about it. They were like, this is not right. This isn't our way, the whole thing. And they still did it just to kind of control people going in and out, which made sense, right? But they actually have this berm that goes around, and we call it, well, I think a lot of people call it Puke Hill. So what happens is people get so hammered, they go out there, puke, and sleep, and then they wake up and they go back into Oktoberfest. It's amazing. And I was there with my buddy John, and we're watching, and they had this guy with a backpack, and it was like the police and fire go out, and they actually go, and the backpack had water, and they were going and giving water to people that were laying down, checking them to make sure they were alive, that they were okay. And they were like giving them water. It's pretty wild. It's a scene. But then when you get into the fest house, it's pretty cool. Usually they'll have like the, traditional oompa band, but
Mhm.
they'll also play like, modern music. But when I say modern music, they play a lot of 80s rock. Like Germans love 80s rock. Bryan
What's not to
Adams,
love?
yeah, Bryan Adams, Pat Benatar, like all that genre. And it's like
Hasselhoff, obviously.
at the Hoff, but you could sing to it. So it's all sing along music. So it's really cool because you go there and it's all a lot of English, music, whether it was foreigners that, did English music or English musicians. So a lot of the music they sing is in English. And then they have their traditional German songs, which they still sing, which is pretty interesting. And everybody sings, and there's a few weird things. Like if you stand up, there's a lot of standing up on the chairs or on the benches, but I think it's if you put your foot up on the table that you're going to chug a beer or chug the rest of your beer. So if you put your foot on the table, that means everybody stops and they start cheering you on, and you chug the beer. Now, depending on which tent you're in, I heard the Hofbrauhaus is pretty crazy because there's a lot of young kids trying to chug and, prove themselves and whatever. If you don't make the chug, sometimes they'll throw stuff at you like beer and
Jeez.
food and stuff like that. But everybody just has a good fun time. So there's a lot of singing and dancing and hanging out.
So now to kind of give it the skiing tie-in. So does it kind of almost like an après ski in Europe feel to it?
It's what après ski wants to be. Like it's kind of like, hey, let's do like an Oktoberfest thing on après ski. It's very similar.
Okay.
Exactly though. You hit the nail on the head. But it's like a bigger version of that, just with costumes and stuff.
So are you gonna hear some of the same songs? Like, is there any Mickey Krause? Is there Peter Wackel?
I don't know. No, they don't do the same stuff, but it's like the same type of stuff, right? So there might be some Peter Wackel. Mallorca is hot, so
Mallorca is hot.
And then it depends on the tent. So if you go to some of the tents, they're more traditional, and they play just a lot of traditional music and oompa band and stuff like that. And then if you go to, and it's interesting, they have a breakdown. Like there's sites where they break down like what each tent is like themed and who it kind of fits, like the type of people that hang out there. Like some
Those
is
online
really
quizzes, like which tent is right for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Answer these 5 questions.
But they have like some that are like, more of a younger crowd, another one that's like family, another one that has like actually wine in there. The thing I love about it is it's not this pretentious bullshit about, can I see your beer list? Well, do you have an IPA? Well, where is this made?
Why is there any guava in this IPA?
Yeah, it's none of that. It is, do you want a Weiss, a Dunkel, or an Oktoberfest? That's it. A white, a dark, or an Oktoberfest. Now, mostly it's a Oktoberfest because that's what they brew specific for Oktoberfest, and it's more of it's a light beer but a little more malty. Has a
Marzen style, yeah.
Yeah, the margin is a little more creamy, a little more caramely, a little malty. Good tasting beer, not a lot of high alcohol, so you drink it. Now they serve it in either a Mass, which is 1 liter, or a half Mass, which is a half liter. So a liter of beer is a lot to drink, and they serve it in the big stein, and they bring him, 20 on a tray, and they hand them out. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then the food there is, do you want a half a chicken? Not, oh, what's on the menu? Is it gluten-free? No, it's a fucking half chicken. Just take the half chicken, and what are the 3 beers do you want? There's none of this mixed drink. There's none of this. Oh,
I have a gluten intolerance. Do you have pretzels that are gluten-free?
Yeah. And the best part is, since it's a beer tent, it's not like you're asking, oh, do you have, a Heineken or a Dob? No. This is the Hockup Shore tent. That's all we have. Like, that's all we serve, dumbass.
Do you have Miller Lite here?
Yeah. You're at the wrong tent. Go somewhere else, Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. And then nightly after it closes at like 11, on the perimeter, You see everybody's leaving, and it's just a shit show. So the first time I went with my buddy John, I got separated from him because I made the mistake of going to the bathroom before everything closed down, and they started emptying out the tent early. So I went to the bathroom and I couldn't go back to the table I was at. I had to leave. So I left and he was still at the table. And then that's how we got separated. So that followed with me being hammered, trying to walk home, getting lost, finding a park, deciding I'm not going to sleep like everybody else in the park because everybody else was hammered too. I was going to jump in a cab. The cabbie, since I passed out in the cab, decided to take me to a strip bar and try to drop me off there because they make money on that. And I freaked out on him. I was like, I just want to go to my hotel, you mother effer. I went off on this guy. And he was so scared I was going to report him because they get really big fines for doing that. And the reason is they purposely try to get targeted, like just tourists, drop them off at strip bars, and then they get paid money by the strip bars for everybody they drop off. So the guy was trying to talk me into it, and then I fell asleep. So he, pulls up, and I'm like, all right, we're in my hotel. He's like, no, we're here. This is better for it. I'm like, no, what the fuck? And I was like, I went off. So he wasn't going to
German, or was he like a Middle Eastern cab driver?
I think he was Middle Eastern. He was from let's see, he was Middle Eastern. Nice guy, but he was scared shitless that I was gonna, like, number one, probably beat his ass, and number two, report him to the police. So he dropped me back off at the hotel, and he was like, I'll apologize, like, no charge, whatever. He's that afraid. And I was like, nah, I'll pay you for the ride. Just don't do that to anybody again. And I left, and it was just funny. So my buddy John fell asleep. Oh, yeah. So my buddy John fell asleep at the table and chairs outside of the hotel waiting for me. And I walked right by him. And then I went up, went to sleep. And then he woke up like 2 hours later and was like, all right, I'm going to go back. He's like, how the fuck did he get in the room? I was waiting for him. So it was kind of funny. Now, the time I went with my wife, my current wife now, my ex-girlfriend, the time I went with her, we were pretty lit, and I had to kind of carry her home because she drank like 2 liters of beer herself. She's tiny.
2 liters of beer. Wow.
Yeah, she drank 2. I had to outdo her. I believe I drank 3. And that's a lot of volume, just saying. So
that certainly is, yeah.
It's legit. I think I think my target's at least 2, and we'll see from there.
Yeah.
Well, now, if you don't like beer, there are tents that have wine, but
they don't have the White Claw tent over there at Oktoberfest yet?
Not yet. It might be coming. Some of them do serve mixed drinks, but you actually have to walk and go to the little kiosk that they have on your own within the tent and get it. Like the servers won't bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, no, you want a chicken, you want a beer, I'll bring it. All the other shit, you go yourself,
Yeah.
So
now there's one other question I still have. Let's hear about the Wiesenkocks.
All right. So last time I'm there with Melanie, and we're going into the tent, and we're all jazzed. We're happy. Like, we're just like, all right, this is going. And, it's great going with the tour because you're just walking past all these people, getting into this like VIP entrance. It's kind of cool. And as we're going in, we're behind these 2 guys, and the one guy's hitting the other guy, and the guy's like, all right. Like, and he holds out his hand, and the dude takes something out of a little vial, and he puts like this line of what looks like Coke on his hand. And the other guy's like sniffs it, and then and then they walk in. I was like, holy shit, it's one of those parties. So I didn't know what it was. I thought it was Coke. And then we're in the tent, and the fest going on and everything, and we see tons of people taking out this white powder, and like they're all doing Coke. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what did we walk into? Is this like a Coke infused like Oktoberfest? Is this normal?
Oktoberfest.
So we asked somebody, and they're like, oh no, it's this snuff. And I'm like, really? They do a lot of, so I guess apparently they do a lot of snuff. I don't know if anybody doesn't know snuff. It's like tobacco, where you put it, instead of chew it or smoke it, you inhale it, And they used to do that way back, way back.
Good old days.
Good old days. But now I guess what it is it's for Oktoberfest, they call it it's a type of snuff that they call the candy cane. And what it is, it's a lot of menthol and gluten. And it's just like a menthol shot that like just gives you like a flash of just like, wow, opens up your whole sinuses. So I didn't do it because I was like, it looks like Coke. They were trying they were trying to outlaw it for a while, but everybody still does it. So they kind of, I guess, relaxed and like, fuck it, everybody's doing it. If it's Coke and it's not Wiesencooks, then oh well, what are we gonna do? So, but that's what it's called, is Wiesencooks. You could order on Amazon. I actually saw it today. I was looking.
You gotta put it in your carry-on bag.
No, it's not Coke, officer.
It's Wiesencocks. Don't you know about Wiesencocks? Come on, everyone knows about Wiesencocks.
Now, if that was in Florida, it would be laced with fentanyl. So that's the other scary part. So I'm like, I definitely wouldn't try it from somebody, because you don't know if they're maybe throw a little cocaine in there, maybe a little this, maybe a little that. So while it sounds really cool, it's terrifying to take something from someone else. That's the other thing, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, so that's Wiesencooks. What else? So while you're in Germany while you're in Munich, you got to see all the sites right in there. So there's like the Marienplatz, where the Glockenspiel is, which is I forgot how old it is. I think it's the 1800s, but it's like the giant cuckoo clock that at noon does like this amazing, like it's this whole little story of, there's a joust going, there's things singing, like, and there are all these animatronic things that they built so long ago, and that thing's still running. So it's pretty amazing to see. They have like the residence, which is, where the kings used to live, and a lot of cool stuff to see. Munich is a pretty cool city. When I was there with my buddy John, we went up and we saw a Bayern Munich game. So we saw a soccer game, which is pretty awesome to see, a European soccer game. It's a nice stadium, but it was like a season game. So you had the rabid fans. We took the train up. They were singing songs the whole way there. Biggest thing that I couldn't get used to is, I didn't realize until the last day I was there the first time, is you're allowed to walk around with an open container anywhere in Munich. Like, there's no law like we have. We're such prude ass bitches. So used to be walking around just drinking all day. So I'm gonna execute my right there when I go this time.
There you go.
But it is weird as an American. You're like, I'm used to not being able to do this, and then you can,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back in time and just do it.
Enjoy it. Yeah. Well, you're leaving in just a couple days, right?
I am leaving in 2 days. So
look at that. By the time this comes out, you'll probably be on your way. Yeah.
1 day of work, and then next day we're gone. We're traveling for a day, and then this time we're actually gonna go. We actually have reservations to go see 2 of the castles. So crazy King Ludwig, was it Ludwig II or something? Affectionately known as Crazy King Louis, basically bankrupted Germany way back. I forgot how long it was, 1800s maybe, late 1800s. My history references are horrible, so you'd have to Google all this. But he built like 5 or 6 castles, not just, So his dad, the king, built a castle, and I think that is Hohenschwangau. And then he built Neuschwanstein. So there are 2 castles that are across a river. I believe it's a river in a valley, and they overlook each other. So it's really cool. Like, you go to one castle and you see the other one. Mm-hmm. Now, you had the father's castle, and then he built his castle. Well, his castle that he built, Neuschwanstein, that's what they modeled the Disney castle after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's this beautiful white castle, and you look at it, you're like, oh wow, it's a copy of the Disney castle, and you're like, yeah, actually it's the other way around.
Yep.
And it's amazing. Like, they had back then, like, this is before anybody had running water, because they had the high elevation rivers and streams. they actually were able to engineer water, and they had running water in these things way back then. It's pretty amazing. They had flushing toilets, running water, like not like the peasants.
It's good to be king back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cool stuff to see around there. So
Nice.
a lot of tours, but yeah, that's a lot of fun. I would recommend everybody to do it at least once. Brian, you got to get on that list because that's your heritage. You're Bavarian, right? Your parents are from Bavaria as well. So
Yeah, my mom is. Yep. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's getting harder and harder to justify as I get older. But
yeah,
maybe one day
yeah.
try to pull it off. It's just.
I would recommend to anyone, save up your frequent flyer miles and just spend them on going. The hotels are really expensive this year. I think it's gotten so popular after COVID. Between COVID and the YOLO generation, they don't really care. So it's just such a high demand. They're like, I don't care if I can pay my bills. I'm just going to go and do whatever I want to do. So
Yeah.
it's a little changed. So
yeah, it's the old revenge travel people are still doing from COVID. So hopefully things will chill in a bit and a year or so make it a little more doable. But
yeah,
I mean, it sounds like you're all psyched. You got your itinerary, and it'll be an awesome time. So
yeah, I'll have to post on our socials. So definitely check us out on Ski Bum Podcast on Instagram, and I think we go out on Facebook as well. Maybe I'll start posting on X. We'll see.
There you go.
Get some X, especially the Wiesencooks. I'll put that on X.
Wiesencooks, just doing lines of it, being like, woo!
I can't stop doing these lines. Woo!
Yeah, that's the move.
Got to figure out how to make Wiesencooks like even better. Like, what else do you put in it?
Crack, obviously.
Crack cocaine?
Wiesencrack.
Wiesencrack. I bought Wiesencrack by accident.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Where do you buy it?
Accident.
I got to buy it from a store. I can't buy it from some dude on the street because that's like asking for some kind of. Yeah, he was fine until he overdosed on Wiesencrack, and that's it.
You just go to Costco. There's got to be a Costco nearby in Munich, right, with the Wiesencocks. Just get a big old tub of it.
Do they have Costco? They got to have Costco in Munich.
They have one in Sweden.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, I was just looking it up this week because the Costco Connection magazine came, and they had a whole list of all the international ones. And
nice.
My father-in-law is in Norway. I'm like, hey, look, there's one less than 6-hour drive over in Sweden.
Nice.
So you too can make your Costco journey without crossing the Atlantic.
So they're saying there's not a Costco, but there's stores that are equivalent to it. And I think I went there one time way back when I was visiting family.
No, there you go.
The Globus was close to it. I remember going there.
Globus.
Costco-like.
I like it. Well, yeah, hey, that could be your Wiesencocks.
None in Germany. Yeah, my Wiesencocks. There's none in Germany. Wow.
I am surprised.
It's crazy. They're keeping them out.
Yeah.
Well, that's like Aldi and Trader Joe's are from Germany, right? They're actually the same company from Germany. It's kind of a.
Why can't we trade them? We'll trade you Trader Joe's and Aldi for Costco.
Well, and then there's all these little tidbits, like, so the town that your mom's from, right? That's where Adidas and Puma are from.
Yep.
The Dasslers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were both founded by people from that town in that town. And they're pissed off brothers, so couldn't even have the same company.
Great in drama. Yep.
Screw you, I'll make a better shoe. That's it. It's left.
Yeah.
And now they're both global conglomerate shoes. It's like, wow, if they use that rage for good, not for evil, like, right?
They're all made in China.
Now they're all made in China. The China connection.
Yeah. Well, Mario, I hope you have a wonderful time there. I hope everything goes well. You have good weather. Can't wait to see the pictures and the videos. Like Mario said, if you want to get more info and check out how Oktoberfest is going, follow us on socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Untapped, at Ski Bum Podcast. watch Mario's adventures. If you want to send
If
us
you're
an
going to
email,
be there, DM me.
yes,
Maybe I'll be able to meet up.
hook it up, baby. Yes, probably do it on Instagram. That's the best move. Or send an email, skibumpodcast@gmail.com. Go to the website if you need any other information, skibumpodcast.com. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/skibumpodcast. Go to your favorite podcasting apps, rate and subscribe. If you need some sweet gear for working out, 10,000.cc. Use the code BSchneider15, 15% off. Snowbound Expo, it's coming up, month and a half. Boston, November 3rd through 5th. Check them out, snowboundexpo.com. We will be there. That's all we have this week. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Stay high, stay fluting.
Auf Wiedersehen.